Hey, this is Adam with Tech Dive AV Club. We are in Vegas Pro 19, and today we're going to talk about the preview window. So I've tried to cover everything eventually, sometimes simple concepts, sometimes more complicated concepts, or layers of using different concepts together. And so one day we'll have every single thing Vegas can do laid out in a nice library. And that's my ultimate goal for this channel. And so right now I want to take some time to just talk about everything that this preview window can do. So first thing I want to tell you that the preview window is different than the trimmer. You may or may not have the trimmer appearing. I have a whole video all about the trimmer. You should watch it if you're interested. But this is about the video preview. And so even though they oftentimes take up the same spot, they are two different things. So the video preview is how you just see what you're looking at. It's essentially just what the edit's going to look at. It's a preview. And there's a lot of little caveats about how this thing works and how to get the most usage out of it. And I get a lot of questions about it. This video preview can actually be removed as well. You can just hold the mouse button down when you grab it, and you can move it and resize it and put it on another monitor. And when you put it on the other monitor, I'm not recording my other monitor, but you can fill up most of the other monitor with just the whole preview window itself, or you can full screen it to your monitor or other monitor with this button right here. This is the video preview external monitor, and then when you hit that button, it'll fill up the monitor it's on, and then you can hit space to start your video, and then when you hit space again, it stops your video, or depending on what your spacebar settings are and your preferences. And then you can hit escape. Sorry, sometimes you have to click on it first. Then you hit escape and you leave. Okay, so that is the basics of your preview window. Now what if you want to dock it again? To dock any window, if you hold control while you move it around, it'll actually kind of just lock into place in some of its natural places. So you can actually move it to the left or to the bottom if you wanted to do something different. If you wanted to look like a different editing software, you could easily just pop video preview to the left and trimmer to the right and edit that way. That gives me bad memories of the Avid though, so we're not going to do that. This button I skipped here is just a project properties button. It just lets you pick the different project properties. It'll automatically do this with the first video you add. It'll often ask you, unless you've deselected that you shouldn't do it, it'll ask you to match the video settings. So that's what we've done, is we've matched the video settings here. I have a whole video about these settings, but a lot of times people don't know that you can get back to them very easily. You can get to them here to File, Properties. But you can get back to the properties at any point also by hitting this gear. So now we know how to move it, but I didn't talk about, you can also resize it within the window. If you look for these double lines with your mouse, you can resize it to any size. So the next thing you see is this effects button. This effects button is actually a whole nother effects bus. This is the master effects bus. So let's show you as an example here. Let's grab another piece of video so we can do it. Boom. This Korok is going to have just a chroma key on it. This will take 2 seconds. Have a whole video about chroma keying, including this Korok. Alright, so now we got a chroma key on this Korok, and just so you can see what's going on, I'm going to put this Korok over top of this footage here. So now, there we go. So the next thing I'm going to do is put, that's on the clip level. The effect is on the actual clip, or the video media. Another thing you can do with video effects is you can put them on the, let me go back here and just grab any kind of random one that you can easily see. Newsprint, that's a fun one. You can put newsprint or something, anything on the track itself. So when you have something on the track, it only affects the video on the track. So you can see the Korok isn't in newsprint. Now if I move the Korok to the track, now the Korok does become newsprint. And it layers the newsprint. The blue's still gone, but the newsprint effect is working on the over top of the clip layer, a clip level effect. So now we can do this, all this to say, we can do this one more time through this bus effect. So this bus effect will affect everything down the line. It'll affect everything, the entire master bus of the video tracks for the effects track is right here. So if we put a vignette on this right here, then the entire track has a vignette, no matter where it is or what's happening to the video. You always have the vignette on it because it is the last layer of effect chain effects to add. So that is what this button does. Now your next little button here, a lot of people don't know what this is. This is the split screen view. And so the split screen view can do a lot of different things. Right here you see that it is an effects bypass. If you hit this down arrow here, a lot of people get tripped up by this. I see a lot of questions about this. This effects bypass just lets you see with your effects, all of your effects on and with all of your effects off, right? So I'm bypassing all the effects here, and so it shows you the top layer video with no effects on it. But the right side shows you the whole project with all the effects on it. And this works too. So if I left the vignette on the master bus, this works too. It also bypasses the effects on the master effects bus. So we're going to get to that one in a second. Okay, so for the clipboard, what you're trying to do is compare two different images. So like if you're trying to color grade or something and you wanted to see an original. So let's grab another piece of this. Let's turn this off. We're going to have to skip over here. This is copy snapshot to clipboard. If you do this, that still frame is now on your clipboard. So now you can see that you'll see it regardless of whatever you do. You will see half of that snapshot here. And what this is used for is like color grading. So let's say you had two different clips and you wanted to make sure they matched the same color grading, like the light changes or something. You could drop an effect on one clip and then edit that effect, you know, to match. That way you can kind of see its exact colors. And then you can select which side has the clipboard piece. Or the whole thing. So like you can have the whole thing as a clipboard piece. So when people say, oh my gosh, my preview window doesn't show anything but one picture, what they've probably done is they've got something on their clipboard, they've got clipboard selected, they've got this on, and a lot of times they'll even hit retain split screen, which means when they when they leave the project and come back to it, this still stays on. So then they're like, my preview window doesn't work. So we can turn retain split screen off, just hit this little button here, and then boom, now you're back to a normal preview window. So if that's your problem, that's how to fix it. This is decomposing your video. So if you get a lot of effects on it and stuff, it might actually lag a little bit when you play it. So what decomposing your video will do is let you pick different scales. And you can notice it actually changes some things about how the effects render sometimes too. This can be how your video renders out for your final project, but isn't necessarily. You have to have a setting on that matches your video to your current render settings. But if that setting isn't on, then this will not affect it. But you can see it does affect kind of how your effects render, because it kind of changes the whole chain of video that's going in and rendering your effects. It's decomposing it, it's taking less information, and it's adding those effects to less information, which is going to change the video a little bit. However, it will play faster without any kind of staggering frame rate. So it's something I would never do a detailed kind of thing with it, but if you need to see how something looks in the exact frame rate and your computer's being a little slow, decomposing it is a way to go. Adam from the future here with a better explanation of this. When you go to auto, it will auto pick something for your computer that works, but when you go to best full, you're looking at the product at its full resolution, but you're actually downgrading the resolution of the video when you go to half or quarter. So preview full, the draft will still downgrade the preview of this. You can see that the preview pixels are less than the project pixels, which here is where the original video matched the project pixels. This is a big 4K video, and you can see that if you go to best full, you see what it's supposed to look like, but when you go to best quarter, you're looking at it at a quarter of the pixels there. You're getting a quarter of the resolution. And that's okay, because sometimes you're not looking, you don't need that much detail. You just need your computer to free up some memory and some CPU usage, and just let it crank out the video at a faster speed. But sometimes you need that detail. When you need that detail, you need to be in best full. But you can see how much the preview window is actually representing your video down here in this project versus preview text. Display is what resolution you can actually possibly see. So you can see this continually changes as I move it. The thing is my monitor is a 1080p monitor, right? So if I only have a quarter of the size, I can actually perfectly make this to where, let's see, if I go to best quarter, then I need 960 by 540 to see this pixel per pixel. So then I can go to 9. Boom. And see, this is red, but it turns white again when you're viewing this at perfect pixel range. So this is now, you're viewing this at a quarter of the pixels, and it's no longer having to like estimate your pixels. This is exactly the amount of pixels. That's what this can be used to do, is to match up. It tells you what frame you're on too on the video. That's just what that is. So it's going to be a lot of frames as you move throughout the video. Now matches. Now it doesn't. Wait, so I can move it out. See, it doesn't get any bigger. You have to move at a ratio. Very rarely will you be able, unless you have a full dedicated monitor and you're using this button, will you be able to get your project, your preview, and your display all matching. So that's why until something's rendered out, you're not going to know how it looks unless you're got a beefy computer and a beefy monitor and you're looking at everything pixel to pixel. You can also use this with your video proxies. Proxies are something different than this. This is similar to proxies and what it's going to do, but they're not like a replacement for it. This is just kind of you use this with your proxies. So the next one is grids or overlays, and so it shows you all sorts of different things you can see. It just kind of gives you a overlay that you can work with. So this is like a title safe overlay when you add titles to something. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-Q and add another track. People's HDMI might overscale this and you might lose some of that S, or if someone's watching on an older TV, they might even lose everything up to this point. So this is what's called a title safe area. Anything inside of this area is 100% safe. Nothing's going to cut this off. Anything in this area is a little more risky. Anything in this area is very risky. Now in the modern day and age, other than HDMI scaling, you shouldn't really have too much cutoff. But this is still something that can happen depending on the video player and codec and what settings people have on their TVs and things like that. So you can't ever promise that everyone's gonna have the perfect setup, or they're watching it in a borderless YouTube video where you can see text all the way on the side. So that's what this title safe would be used for. Grid, on the other hand, would be used to make things line up perfectly. So there's all sorts of different situations for this. Closed captioning. This will show any closed captioning that you have on the project. I have a video all about closed captioning and how you can do it very fast. So that is the better discussion for that video. But if you wanted to see any closed captioning that might be embedded in your video, this is how to do it. Then you can look at your red channel, or your green channel, sorry, then your blue channel, and your red is grayscale. What this does, you have red values, green values, and blue values in a color video. And those values are all kind of individually sampled. So sometimes it might be useful for you to see these values individually, or to see these values individually in a way that's a little less biased to your eyes, so that you can see them as grayscale. What alpha is just the ability to see through it or not. So for example, this will show up the same on alpha because you can see through everything but this. This is the alpha channel that keeps you from seeing through this area, while the rest of it has no alpha channel behind it. That's what this checkerboard means, and that's what you can see through it. But here you can't see through any of the video. So you can see the alpha channel blocks everything. There is nothing that is bypassed. There's some pixel that is going to block and show to your video, the alpha channel. So there's a whole alpha channel on the entire thing. So if you need to see if something's see-through or not, that's a quick way to do it. And we've already talked about the clipboard, but the snapshot to file, this is a way you can do still frames. So let's get to Korok and mid jump here, and then hit snapshot, save the file, and then boom, we saved the file. You can save it as a JPEG or a PNG, and you can save it anywhere in your computer. And then you can drag this file down here, and you notice something, it actually carries the effects with it. It actually gives you a snapshot, and so you'll want this on best full too. It gives you a snapshot of what you're looking at here. So if you have the effects on it, then boom, now if we go to our alpha as grayscale, you can see that, oh, that's not a perfect chroma key either. I just dragged and dropped. I knew it wasn't a perfect chroma key, but a little less perfect than I was thinking, because you can see the alpha channel should be perfect throughout here, but it even cut away, and a little bit of the Korok's mask is more see-through than it should be. So there you go. That's the alpha channel coming through for us. You can see it's not perfectly see-through either. There is still a little bit of blue blocking. So this is a bad chroma key. Like I said, I didn't do any chroma keying. I just dragged and dropped, so of course it's bad. But you can see the black here has it's all the way through, but now there's a bit of a grayish, and there's some gray where it should be white. The matte is not perfect. The chroma key is not correct. Boom. That's another use of the preview window. The snapshot, however, will keep all the effects in the snapshot. It's a great way to do freeze frames, and because you can make a picture as long as you want in Vegas forever and ever and ever. You can go to Vegas Image and do the same thing. So if you wanted a snapshot, but you wanted to directly edit in Vegas Image, that snapshot, you can go to just hit Vegas Image, save the snapshot as a PNG or JPEG, but it'll automatically open it up in Vegas Image as a new project. And then you can edit this snapshot. Let's add something super noticeable to this. Okay, this is only if you have Vegas Post, by the way, and you have the whole Vegas Post package. So assuming you have Vegas Post, let's add some motion blur, like rotational motion blur. There we go. That's something obvious. And then now when we save it, if we save this PNG and we're using this PNG, so that's PNG 6. Remember, we made PNG 7 just then. If we're using this PNG, then whatever changes we add to it here, let's add another crazy effect. There we go. Now it's changing the color. Now there's some obvious blue in it. Control S. Saving's done. Boom. Now you can see the blue in here too. So you can just kind of edit your snapshot directly in an image editor, and then you can see that image already in its final form here in your video editor. Great way to do if you want really fancy titles that don't need keyframing or something, then like something that's not a motion title or a piece of a motion title or something, and you want to go back and edit that later, that's a great way to do it, because then you can just kind of go, okay, this will be here right now, but later I can go and make any kind of change I want and then save it, and then that change will carry over to my project before I render it out. So that is a good use of Vegas Image. The 360, you need a 360 video. So here in my project, I've got a panoramic picture, a 360 picture. This works with 360 video too, but I just to demonstrate it quickly, I've grabbed a quick picture. So it looks like garbage right now, right? That doesn't look right. But if you hit this, first, it will not let you click this unless you go into your project settings and hit 360 output, and then there you can hit apply and OK, and then now you actually have a 360 output to your video. Now this panoramic picture, it looks, you can 360 through the panoramic, but this isn't a perfect panoramic picture. If you want to get like a true stereoscopic picture or video, I'm grabbing a different one. Some of it will be a little more like suited for your video, and I have a whole video about doing this with your video. I just want you to know this is an option for your preview window. And then HDR, to do HDR2, you also have to have HDR enabled. The thing is I don't enable it because I do not have, I think my monitor is capable of some high dynamic range. That's what that means. But my video footage, I don't have that nice of a camera. I'm not actually taking video HDR footage. And my monitor has a wider color range than most, but I don't know if it's fully HDR rated and or HLG rated. And these things are great if you are a colorist. Then you need to have this with a higher full range floating point on. If you know you have 32-bit color depth, you need to match the color depth to the video you're editing and have the HDR mode match your monitor and your color scales that you can see. And when you do that, you can turn this on and it'll be more accurate to your color scales. So I'll turn it on and show you that you can turn it on. So you can see my video looks like crap right now because I'm not really, don't really have the color settings to look at this. And so when you hover over this, HDR preview in high dynamic range using Project ASUS View Transform. What ASUS is, the color space, ASUS color space, is a more true to your eyes level of colors, which is something very modern, very, like, probably the best changing in filmmaking that's happened recently, but a lot of things do not support it out of the box, including probably your monitor. So the reason I don't enable these settings is because this is not how the video actually looks. It won't, but if I render it out, I'm not going to really know how it looks because I'm trying to apply all these color depth settings to something that doesn't have that much color depth. I'm saying, hey, I want to look deeper in this, but the video is really shallow when it comes to color depth, so I can't look any deeper. So that's why I don't ever turn it on for me. If you know that these settings are true for you, that you do have an HDR capable monitor, that you have video that has a full bit range for it, then yes, by all means go through. Now this, I've done so much, I've jacked this up so much now. By all means, it's still in 360 mode. By all means, go ahead and apply those settings. One more thing you can know about the preview window: when you hit play, it plays. When you hit play again, it plays again. And you hit pause, it stays in that frame. But if you hit play and then stop, it jumps back to where it started from. So for example, play, stop. So there are more buttons here. This is called a hamburger menu. When you hit this, you can actually record. No track has been armed for recording. You can record to, see it says track 4 or create a new track. This is audio recording. I have a whole nother video about audio recording, so we're not going to cover that here, but you can actuate that from here. I usually do it from down here once you've armed a track for recording and things like that. But one more option, loop playback. So if you have a video that you want looped, like let's loop the Korok here. This is your in and out, your preview, or your loop region is what it's called, but your in and out points. And if you hit Q, it's another way to do this. But if you want to see something over and over again, if that's blue, looping is on, and you can use that to loop something over and over again. So just a tool, and you can turn it back off here as well as pressing Q. Or it says Control-Shift-L or Q. So 2 ways to do it. So then we have play from start. That'll play from the very beginning of your timeline. And then you have go to start, which will just move this to the very start of your timeline but won't do anything. And then you have go to end, which it'll move to the last like actual frame of your project. So even no matter how many gaps are in there, if there's something that could be framed. So if you're wondering, wait, do I have something way off in the distance that I can't see? This will find that out for you. Preview previous frame will go back 1 frame. Also, the arrow keys do this as well. That's a picture, so you can't tell. Let's do it over here. Preview previous frame. Arrow keys also do this. And then you can go preview next frame, goes to the next frame. Again, the right arrow key does that as well. And then you can edit your visible button set. Any of those buttons that you can't usually see, you can add them, like play from start here. We can select that and then hit OK. And then now play from start will also be available underneath here. Thank you so much for watching. That has been everything about the Preivew window. I hope you learned something. I hope you're able to use this knowledge and make your videos better. Like if this video helped you out. Subscribe if you're looking for more videos like this one. Like I said, I want a library of all the Vegas videos. Thank you so much to my patrons who are supporting me, making this happen. I will see you guys next time.